Ghostbusters Afterlife is directed by Jason Reitman, who is the son of the man who made the original Ghostbusters movie, and it tells the story of a family that must live now in an old house that their grandpa used to own because he had just recently passed away and they were evicted from their house. As the grandkids kind of uncover some untold secrets from the grandfather, they suddenly realize that they have some affiliation with the original Ghostbusters. When this movie first was announced, I could feel a lot of the, people being like, ooh, I don't know if I want to really do that. That may kind of scream like nostalgia friendly sort of material, because a lot of the times with some movies, especially like a prime example is like Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, where they really bank on that last movie, that they just do a bunch of callbacks and a bunch of like remember this and remember that, and there's really not a lot of substance on the bone for that movie. This movie, however, with Ghostbusters Afterlife, it has nostalgia in there for the fans of the original Ghostbuster movies, but it is by far its own take. It is a movie that features Ghostbusters, and it stands well on its own. I found the cast to be really, really entertaining throughout this entire movie. Carrie, Coon, Mackenzie Grace, and then Finn Wolfhard make up the family of the Spanglers, who is the mother's, the daughter Spangler, and then the two kids are the grandkids. And I found at least Carrie and Mackenzie, like, I love the dynamic that they had, like the very polar opposites that they were, where, the daughter is very like, I don't really want to deal with that sort of stuff because I was never that attached to my father, and he's been estranged for so long that it's bad memories, whereas the granddaughter is taking a liking to the things that he used to do. She is more of a scientist, and she finds all the stuff that he had in the basement with all the old Ghostbusters tech, and she has a liking to it. And I thought that the Finn Wolfhard part of this movie was not great. I personally would have wished that they would have found something else for him to do other than just, oh, well, he's a teen in this movie. Give him a love interest. We got to give him a love interest because people love Stranger Things, right? People love Stranger Things. They love that, and he's got a relationship with that. Let's just give him a love interest in this. I found that to be very disappointing. I think Finn Wolfhard is a talented actor. I just wish that the script would have had more for him to do rather than just be like, we're going to look at the car for a while, fix it up, and then I guess he'll get a job at some place because he likes a girl. Those are some of the weird things in this movie that I found that didn't work for me. But what also really worked for me was Paul Rudd. I think Paul Rudd is just fantastic as an actor. He's one of the most likable men on earth, and it's no different in this movie. Paul Rudd is just so charismatic, and he plays off very well with Carrie Coon's character, and when they're going on dates and just trying to get to know each other more. And he also kind of does science stuff because he teaches the summer school that Mackenzie Grace's character is attending for a while, but he also understands like earthquakes and stuff like that, and he's a fan of the Ghostbusters. So it worked really well between the chemistry he had with Carrie Coon, but he also had really good chemistry with Mackenzie Grace, and I think that goes a long way for the two of them. And I really have to say, Phoebe, Mackenzie Grace in this movie, she's fantastic. She really carries this movie throughout the entire time. I thought that her performance was great. I think she portrays the nerdy, kind of awkward, smart kid very well. I thought that her humor was the right kind of humor because she does a lot of cringy kind of jokes because she's trying to be like, diffusing a situation or just trying to fit in more. Whereas Paul Rudd kind of deals with the more like easy to digest and like actual humor side of it for some people. And, I just thought her performance was great. Like, I really didn't have any issues with it. And then I thought she really bounced off really well with the character that she plays with the entire time in podcast, because these two kids are friends because he just happens to have a podcast, and then they start talking, and then they just walk around the entire town together. And while the characters and all that are great, I do have to say the story is what really keeps it all together. I like the idea of this family kind of trying to get together again and really trying to kind of like bond again because of the circumstances that they're going through, and then overcoming some of the obstacles that they personally have as well. Because really, A lot of people are going to have the issues with the nostalgia factor in this movie, and I personally don't agree with that at all. There is an entire plot line in this movie that far exceeds the nostalgia of Ghostbusters factor in this movie. Are there callbacks? Sure. Yes, they have the ambulance in there. You know, they have the backpacks. They have, you know, all sorts of things in this movie that remind you of the original Ghostbusters. But there's also an overwhelming plot that is there involving these new characters and a new story involving Ghostbusters property. And what I also found really awesome is when the pacing of this movie picks up towards the second midway point of the movie, where they kind of do a character-based thing for majority of the movie, and then they get about halfway through, and this is where like the first car chase scene happens with a ghost that is in the trailer, and it is shot so well and it's so fun, and that's where the movie just starts to kind of kick it in high gear a little bit. There's way more things to do after that. Now that we've kind of gotten everybody set in who they are, now we get to have some fun with all the things that they do with Ghostbusters tech. And the direction of this I thought was really, really good. Apparently, the Jason Reitman's father, who directed the original one, was with him on set all the time. And I can see how nerve-wracking that may be, part because A, it's your father being on set with you the entire time, but also the fact that it's like a more mature take on Ghostbusters, because I recently watched the first two, and those two movies are like fun from the get-go. It is, you know, just 80s like fun vibes, just, you know, we're laid back, and part of that is because of Bill Murray as well in his main role in those movies. But this movie focuses on some very mature topics, and that's not to say that it's not for kids at all either, though. I think that this is a great movie that you could show kids too. You know, it's just, if you're going into Ghostbusters thinking that this is an entirely fun time and fun ride from the minute it starts, you're going to be mistaken a little bit. There's going to be some serious moments in there, and there's going to be some heartfelt moments there that I genuinely loved. In the end, Ghostbusters Afterlife is a far better sequel than most people probably would have imagined. It's got some great characters, a great story, and it does well with the property of Ghostbusters. I'm going to give Ghostbusters Afterlife 4 stars. Thank you so much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. You can also find me on the Andrew Paul Show, where I do podcasts. I mostly review WWE's NXT and AEW's Dynamite show. And then we also kind of introduce, you know, pay-per-views and takeovers and sort of stuff like that on whenever they show up. So take a look at that. Please share around. Please share this around as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to y'all next time.